Why is Shield Spec from Shield Knight the best tank in Star Resonance? Hello guys, it's Luna here. Before answering this question, I would like to clarify that this comes from a very advanced, min-max perspective, and for anyone that is not looking too much into optimizing numbers, this may be irrelevant. All the tanks can do the job just fine, and the other tanks outside Shield Spec can probably do the job easier. So the subject here is not about being easy, it's about being optimal. And why is the Shield Spec optimal? I came from a more competitive background, where I played in competitions as a tank in the game Elder Scrolls Online, and the mindset that I'm here to share is: how can you increase your value as a tank to the group? How can you provide advantages to increase the potential of the group? And please, I'm not talking about taunting the boss and staying alive. This is very basic, and any tank class can do that. If you're satisfied with that, this video is just not for you. So let's list some of the things that you can do to help your group. You can increase your group's survivability through buffs, shields, mitigation, etc. You can increase your group's damage through buffs and debuffs. You can increase your group's damage through raw damage output from yourself. And you can also help the group going out of your way doing extra mechanics so DPS can just sit and parse without interruptions. This last one may sound a little too specific, but that's literally what we do when we're planning the fights. We just dump the highest amount of mechanics possible in the tanks and supports, so the other players have more uptime in their DPS. So let's think about these topics in Star Resonance. The first one, survivability, is hardly something we ever have to worry about, because the game is just easy to survive as long as everybody is playing correctly. But still, both specs from Shield Knight have the ultimate shield bubble that can massively help surviving some mechanics, so even though I don't care really much about it, that's a point for Shield Knight in general, I guess. The second point is about increase the group's damage through buffs and debuffs. And this is something curious, because tanks don't really have any buffs to the group or relevant debuffs to enemies to increase damage output, so it's mostly about the imagines, which are not tied to any class or spec. But then, there's something in Star Resonance that maybe fits this category, which is Resilience Break. Every enemy has a resilience break bar, and whenever it reaches 0, the enemies are instantly interrupted, stunned for a set time that varies depending on the enemy, and also takes increased damage. Okay, this is something interesting. So providing more resilience break means that you can interrupt the boss, delay mechanics, create DPS windows, and also increase the damage taken for a while. This sounds very relevant. And guess what? Shield Spec from Shield Knight provides more than double the number of resilience break that any other class or spec in the game. This happens because of the hasty nature of the class, which is a spammy tank playstyle, but also a lot because of the Zeal Crusade skill. Zeal is one of the most important buffs that provides most of your damage, healing, and crazy amount of resilience break ticking on anything close around you every second. Just so we can compare, look how resilience break numbers are on regular skills from other tanks. They can be decent numbers, but the skills and rotation are slow, to the point that Zeal itself provides the same if not more resilience break than any other tank by just being active. And you still cast your skills on top of it, that also have high resilience break values. And remember, you're the fastest tank class, so you're spamming skills much faster than usual. Resilience break can make a lot of fights twice as fast, because you're constantly delaying vulnerability mechanics from the boss and also increasing the damage received for a while. Pick the Arachno Crab, for example. It has a super annoying mechanic that it goes beneath the ground and stays vulnerable for several seconds. I remember doing Steaming Vaults and triple resilience breaking it before it even went beneath the ground the first time, and my group could kill it much faster than usual because of that. But other times, resilience break can be useless. If you see the Raid Dragon bosses, their resilience break bar is so massive that you almost always kill it before the first break, even if you have 2 Shield Spec tanks. So in those cases you can just forget about it. But generally, for dungeons, resilience break can be crazy strong, especially if you pair with Dissonance Beat Performer with the Severed Chapter talent, which increases resilience break of the entire group and the damage dealt on enemies during break status by 15%. Okay, enough about resilience break, as this topic can cover an entire video on its own. Let's move to the next point, which is raw individual damage. Again, an easy win for the Shield Spec. Guys, I'm not a holder of all the truth and knowledge in this game, so share your thoughts in the comments, but for me, it's very easy to notice the difference between DPS from Shield Spec compared to any other tank. I know Earthfort from Heavy Guardian has an interesting damage potential, but I'm still about to see them actually doing damage, because whenever I see gameplay footage from Earthfort, it's usually not that much damage. But with Shield Spec, even though your damage is still behind the average DPS, it's there, and oftentimes can be the difference from skipping another boss mechanic. Shield Knight DPS shines in long, sustained damage fights, being able to reach half of the damage of an average DPS, which is very decent. All this while also being the top resilience break tank. At this point you can probably see where we're going with this. The last point is whatever, considering that both Heavy Guardian and Shield Knight specs have tools to handle extra mechanics. Heavy Guardian having an invulnerability button to easily survive anything, and Shield Knight with the ult bubble that can possibly allow someone to ignore one mechanic. So if Shield Spec is all that great, what are the cons? Shouldn't everybody play Shield Spec? Well, not really. As we go further into endgame, DPS classes and even some healer specs, I'm talking about True Dissonance, are out DPSing tanks even more, and although squeezing some damage more as a tank can be nice, it only seems to get less relevant. And whenever resilience break is not a big thing like in raids, it really doesn't matter. And then we should talk about the Shield Spec cons. All your damage, healing, resilience break and mitigation are tied to two long cooldown skills, Zeal Crusade and Radiance. You can ensure close to 100% uptime on these buffs as long as you're spamming your skills, but if there's nothing to do and you have to do other mechanics and you just can't be hitting the air with your skills to lower your cooldowns, you're going to have downtimes in your buffs, and guess what? You're useless during those downtimes. No damage, you get squishier than ever, no heals. That's why it's easy to die during trash fights from high level master dungeons. You have to be constantly planning your buffs so you have them up for every encounter, and if they are just two short burst windows, you end up in a very bad situation. Not to mention your barrier counter, if you're out of that, you lose like 50% of your HP, and there's also the Radiant Shield Gouge, that is pretty much your constant 50% damage reduction. If you're just starting a fight or resetting a boss, you will have 0 Radiant Shield, and you will feel crazy squishy compared to other tanks. So if you want a more chill experience playing a tank without being crazy about rotation, cooldowns, numbers, and spamming buttons trying to do a fraction of the DPS from other classes, just play Heavy Guardian or Recovery Spec. Like I said, this video is not about being easy or hard. I know Shield Spec is not necessarily the easy way. This is about being the most optimal you can with a tank class. So let's just summarize. Shield Spec has the highest resilience break output in the game, more than double any other tank can provide. Shield Spec has the highest damage output from all the tanks. Since this game is all about DPS checks, Shield Spec from Shield Knight looks like the obvious optimal choice. And that's why I believe Shield Spec is the best tank in Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Do you have different impressions? Do you disagree? What are your experiences as a tank in this game so far? Leave a comment down below, let's talk about it. If this video was any useful, make sure to like and subscribe so you guys can help me with my channel. I'm always streaming on both Twitch and YouTube, so if you want to talk to me or get any other tips, I'm always reading chat and helping people. Thank you for watching, until the next one.